Hey guys, today doing a little bit of a combination of Stop Loss with Spencer and Working Thoughts with Spencer. The topic I think crosses over both of those subjects, and I didn't really need a whiteboard for it though, so which is why I'm not doing that standard setup for Stop Loss with Spencer, and it's not exclusive to Stop Loss. And so I thought more broadly, let's do this under the Working Thoughts with Spencer channel, if you will. And I'd love to hear some feedback of folks of what you actually think this particular definition means. So the topic today is last look. For those of you that have been in the sales game, whether you're on the broker side or the carrier side, more than likely you've discussed last look before, but I'll define it today as I believe it to mean. And then I'd love to solicit some feedback from the folks that are commenting and watching the video. What do you believe last look actually means? So for the folks out there that are unaware or uninitiated in this game, last look typically means you give the incumbent carrier basic competitive feedback in order to get them to a certain point of competitiveness with their own renewal in order to keep that business. You should give them a very, very slight advantage in order to retain the business because they won it last year, unless they're doing a poor job of servicing or paying claims or some other really egregious breach of trust between you and them that causes you to want to move it away. If they're doing all the things that they're supposed to be doing and they maintain competitiveness at renewal time, then my opinion, right, especially as somebody that spent a lot of time on the carrier side, is that you should do everything you can as a broker to persuade your client to keep the business there. Now, ultimately, that decision is up to the client and it is their money that's on the line at the end of the day. And so you should honor that and respect that if they decide to go a different route. But the notion that as a broker, you should be giving that incumbent every opportunity to keep the business, I believe, is what last look actually means. So for stop loss, last look should typically mean, you know what the spec rates, you know what the ag premium rates are, you know what the ag factors are that you're competing against, and you most likely have competitive feedback around the lasers as well. And so if you give all that information to the incumbent carrier and they either meet or beat or get really, really close to it, they should be given that advantage to do so. Now, I've talked to some carrier reps that were lamenting, and I've again experienced it myself, where business was moved away from you, right? If there's no explicit agreement between broker and carrier, it's not a panel situation where we clearly define what each party is supposed to do for last look. If that situation doesn't exist, then I believe proper etiquette should substantiate that you should give that information to the incumbent carrier and let them do what they can. If they don't get there, then it's on them. But if you move a piece of business away from an incumbent carrier with no opportunity for them to compete or revise their initial renewal, or you continue to negotiate behind the scenes with other carriers to further drill them down, and you basically peg carriers against each other to see who's going to undercut whom, and whoever the last man standing is wins. If you continue to do that after you ask the incumbent carrier to get to a certain point, then for me, that violates that sort of unwritten rule of last look. So that's my opinion. That's kind of my experience as well as what it's supposed to mean. So I'd love to hear producers, consultants, account managers, sales reps, even folks from the HR department or CFOs at the employer. What do you believe is fair for the incumbent carrier around last look?